Headlines blared, Canada strikes back, and Trump's auto dreams hit a Canadian wall. The news hit factory floors from Oshawa to Michigan like a dropped engine block. Workers on both sides of the border gathered around screens, anxiety etched on their faces. The once seamless North American auto industry was suddenly fractured. For decades, cars and parts flowed freely across the border, a symbol of shared prosperity. Now, that era was over. Tariffs replaced handshakes. Political chess replaced partnership. This isn't just about trade numbers, it's about real people and the machines they build. Imagine truck drivers stuck at the border, cargo delayed by new rules, plant managers scrambling as production schedules are thrown into chaos. Decisions in DC now determine if a family in Flint pays their mortgage or an engineer in Quebec keeps her job. The rhythm of North American industry is out of sync. Executives redraw maps, recalculating costs, rethinking futures. The integrated supply chain is being forced apart. America First, meant to protect U.S. manufacturing, has instead ignited uncertainty and forced Canada to ask, if not our neighbor, then who? Canada is no longer playing defense, it's fighting for its own automotive destiny. This is more than a trade spat. It's the unraveling of a system that defined prosperity for generations. The cross-border dance of parts and vehicles has stopped. The partners now stare each other down, waiting for the next move. This is a pivotal moment, a turning point for millions whose livelihoods depend on this industry. The stakes are personal, immediate, and profound. The North American auto world will never be the same. To grasp today's crisis, we need to look back at the 1965 Auto Pact, a deal that erased tariffs and created a single integrated North American auto market. American automakers built plants in Canada, Canadian consumers got more choices, and both sides prospered. The Auto Pact transformed Windsor and Detroit into twin cities of the auto world. A single car might cross the border multiple times during assembly, parts from Michigan, seats from Quebec, all coming together in Ontario. This integration made North America a global automotive powerhouse. Generations of families built their lives around this industry, with steady jobs and secure futures. The Big Three operated as if the border didn't exist, making decisions based on efficiency, not nationality. NAFTA and its successor, USMCA, continued this tradition even as Mexico joined the mix. The core principle: North America was one giant factory floor. That's why today's protectionist turn is so jarring. It's an assault on the logic that made the industry thrive. The system wasn't broken, but now it's at risk of collapse. The legacy of cooperation is under threat. America First protectionism shattered decades of cross-border cooperation. Tariffs became the weapon of choice, targeting steel, aluminum, and auto parts. The Trump administration claimed the old system cost American jobs, so they made it more expensive to build cars outside the U.S. Tariffs on steel and aluminum hit both Canadian and American plants, raising costs overnight. The USMCA brought stricter rules, more North American content, higher wages for workers, and new hurdles for automakers. The goal was to force production back to the US, but the supply chain isn't a light switch. Disrupting it means delays, higher costs, and inefficiency. Automakers faced uncertainty, unable to plan investments or predict costs. Instead of sparking new U.S. investment, protectionism created paralysis and rivalry. The once solid foundation of the integrated auto market now shakes with every new policy. The industry's future is more uncertain than ever. Canada realized it couldn't rely on old agreements, it needed a new strategy. When the U.S. imposed tariffs, Canada hit back with its own. But the real shift was a pivot to self-reliance and global diversification. Canada rolled out billions in incentives for automakers to invest in electric vehicles and batteries. The message: if you want to build the car of the future, do it in Canada. Canada is betting on its access to key battery minerals and aiming to build a mines-to-mobility ecosystem. Mining, processing, manufacturing, and assembly all at home. This reduces dependence on U.S. trade policy and positions Canada as a leader in the green economy. At the same time, Canada is forging new trade deals with Europe and the Pacific Rim, opening new markets for Canadian vehicles and parts. Diversification is Canada's hedge. If one door closes in Washington, others open in Berlin or Tokyo. The goal: make Canada indispensable in the global auto industry. It's a monumental shift, but one that could secure Canada's automotive future. The stakes are high, but so is the potential reward. Canada is no longer just a branch plant. It's aiming to be a global player. The Stellantis story shows the real impact of trade turmoil. Brampton, Ontario, once a crown jewel, faced closure as Stellantis shifted focus to electric vehicles and U.S. incentives. Jobs moved south, and Canadian workers faced uncertainty. The message government incentives, not loyalty, now decide where jobs go. But after massive government investment, Stellantis committed to retooling Brampton and Windsor for EVs and building a new battery plant. It was a victory, but at a steep price. Canada now pays billions to keep jobs it once got for free. The Stellantis saga is a case study in the new North American auto wars. Governments bid for jobs, and workers are caught in the middle. The rules have changed, and the stakes are higher than ever. The future of Canadian auto towns hangs in the balance. Trade battles aren't just for politicians, they hit your wallet too. Tariffs on parts and materials mean higher prices for new cars. The dismantling of the integrated supply chain leads to inefficiency and fewer choices. Some models may disappear from your market, or take longer to arrive. Even repairs get pricier and slower as parts face tariffs or border delays. For workers, the consequences are even more direct. Shifts cut, jobs lost, communities shaken. Governments compete for investment with ever bigger subsidies, diverting money from schools and hospitals. Ultimately, everyone pays higher prices, fewer choices, more expensive repairs, and social costs from job losses. The impact of trade policy is personal, not abstract. The car in your driveway is a product of global politics. The stakes are closer to home than you think. Canada isn't just playing defense, it's launching a global offensive. The goal transformed from a junior partner to a key player in the world auto industry. Canada is betting on advanced manufacturing, green tech, and its rich reserves of battery minerals. By building a secure, ethical supply chain, Canada aims to attract investment from Europe and Asia. Trade deals like CETA and CPTPP give Canadian automakers access to huge new markets. Global automakers can now use Canada as a base to export worldwide. The strategy: create an innovative, resilient ecosystem that draws foreign investment and reduces dependence on any one country. Canada's reputation for stability and resources is its edge. In a fractured world, Canada wants to be the safe harbor for the green auto revolution. The gamble is big, but so is the opportunity. Made in America sounds patriotic, but in today's auto industry, it's rarely that simple. A car assembled in Michigan might have an engine from Mexico, electronics from Asia, and seats from Canada. The old system, built on integration, made cars affordable and high quality. Forcing production back to the US can disrupt the chain, raising costs without adding much American content. As a consumer, look beyond the sticker. Check where your car's parts come from. Sometimes, a foreign brand built in the US has more North American content than a domestic one. Trade wars can raise prices, hurt allies, and create instability for workers. Understanding the global nature of your car helps you see who really benefits from these policies. The choice you make is about more than a car. It's about the kind of economic world you want. The true cost of Made in America is more complicated than it seems. The North American auto industry is now a three-way race: Canada, the US, and Mexico. Can Canada's bold EV investments make it a global leader, or will its market prove too small? Will consumers pay more for Canadian-made cars, or will price win out? Meanwhile, Mexico's low cost and trade deals make it a rising powerhouse. The race is no longer just US versus Canada. Mexico could be the biggest winner. The outcome will shape communities and jobs across the continent. The era of quiet cooperation is over. Fierce competition is here. The road ahead is uncertain, but the stakes have never been higher.